Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips, which is brought to you by Wellness Forum Health, the Wellness Forum Institute, and Make Americans Free Again. Now, this is kind of a strange announcement to start with, but we ended up with enough nutritional yeast to supply Franklin County, where we live. Long story how it happened, but in any case, we don't want it to go to waste, so we're going to sell it for $12 a pound. It usually retails for about 25 a pound. People buy it in these little 6-ounce packages. So when you call to place an order, if you would like to have one of these nutritional yeast pound packages, just tell Kelly or whoever takes the order, and we can add it to your order and ship it to you. Just sometimes when you have a lot of people doing things, one doesn't know what the other one's doing, and you end up with a whole lot of nutritional yeast, right? The other thing is, I want to remind you that last night started the how the care and feeding workshop from your brain to your toes. We recorded it. The part two is tonight. So if you want to join us and pick up the recording from last night or watch the recordings in general, you can still register. It's a great workshop that talks about your immune system, your skeletal system, how to maintain your skin and your hair and everything else, right? So I really had fun teaching it, and I think that you will have fun watching it or maybe even joining us tonight. So that's coming up. Maybe you want to miss that. All right. And then the big announcement is the Healthy Happy You boot camp, which starts next week, 6 weeks, every week a yoga class, every week a cooking class, every week a workout, and every week a lecture. And my co-author, the co-author of my book, Heidi Plum, is just a marvelous cook and has put together an amazing program. I'm just going to share my screen with you so that you can see this. This is what she has put together. So the first class is mouth-watering Mediterranean meals without the oil. And then the All-American Kitchen, classic ranch veggie tray, tomato soup, grilled not cheese, farmer salad, veggie pizza pie, watermelon slushy, Asian foods that wow, a Bollywood buffet, Indian food, Viva Mexico, and the incredible edible potato. And by the way, all of these come with recipes. So you'll watch the cooking class. And what you can do if you want is you can buy the ingredients and cook with Heidi when the class is going on, or you can take the recipes and make them any other time, but you're going to end up with the equivalent of like a cookbook from just that. So the workshop, it's just amazing. You're going to get 6 yoga classes, 6 workouts, 6 cooking classes, and 6 lectures. It's only $199 for members and a little bit more expensive for members, not members, so you might want to join so that you can get the member price. But we've never done anything like this before. We will put it in your documents tab. So if you're a member, you'll be able to have access to it. So you can do yoga with Heidi and workouts with Alec and that sort of thing, even after the 6 weeks is over. And you'll have those cooking classes and lectures there too. So lots of exciting stuff going on at Wellness Forum. It's an exciting place to be these days. All right, so I have a couple of news items to share, and I'm going to start with this one. For some reason, in the last probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 days, I've received several emails concerning difficulty with habit change. The people writing to me have changed their habits, but the issue is maintaining them in the long term. This might affect you too. Some people find some things easy while others are hard. One person writes, I eat an almost perfect diet, but I do what I refer to as intermittent exercise, and I've never made anything in the exercise area stick. Another writes, I've lost the same 30 pounds 15 times, and this last time I regained even more. What's wrong with me? Well, here's my response. This isn't uncommon, and there's nothing wrong with people who are struggling. Some of you may be encountering these same issues. Change is not difficult, but it seems so because many people just haven't been given the tools to make and maintain permanent change, which is why I started this Winner Circle class series last year to help people who are struggling to make changes that stick. Not just health-related decisions, by the way, but decisions that affect the rest of their lives too. I'm starting another group in a couple of weeks. So I thought to start today, I would offer you some free samples of what we talk about in these classes. So the first thing that I tell people is look at your current state of mind and emotional state. Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. So with that in mind, a couple things to focus on. First of all, understanding that humans generally don't like change, even when it's changed for the better. For example, research shows that abused children would rather return to the familiar home where they were abused than to a new home without abuse. Resistance to change is usually subconscious. People say, of course, I want to lose the weight, but further examination often shows that they placed obstacles to their success without even knowing that they were doing it. One way to sort of test yourself on this issue is to see if you can actually conjure up a really vivid picture of what you seek to accomplish or become or do. If you can't sustain a vision of yourself, for example, less 50 pounds, or in a new job, or living in a new city, or all of the other things you want to accomplish, then you probably have some things to figure out and obstacles to rid yourself of. And that brings me to the next thing. Most people try to change one thing, the thing that's screaming for attention right now. And this is really true with weight loss. People say, gosh, I'm sick of being overweight. This is the last summer I'm going to spend in this condition. Or finances, I'm paying off these credit cards and then I'm never doing this again. Or lack of prioritizing, I'm over obligated and I can't keep up this pace. I'm going to start setting some limits starting from right now. If you're like most people, after attempting to fix this thing, whatever it is, again and again, it still persists. And the reason is that when you change one thing without changing many others, almost nothing sticks. It can sound counterintuitive, but it's easier to change all the messy things in your life than it is to change one thing and leave the rest alone. And that's often the inhibiting factor. So, do you believe deep down inside that you can accomplish what you want to accomplish? I mean, belief matters, and part of developing strong belief is learning how to monitor the chatter in your head and how to address issues like this. So, this is an 8-class series, meets every other week. In the beginning and then weekly as the series goes on, and it's life-changing. It starts September 18th. And if you'd like to see the curriculum and take a closer look, just send me an email at pampopper@wellnessforum.com. Now, the second news item I want to talk about is October's coming soon, otherwise known as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. For 31 days, we get to be bombarded with messages like early detection saves lives and make sure to get your mammogram. I've been countering these kinds of messages for decades now, and every year, the argument against breast cancer screening becomes stronger. I'm going to share some information about mammography today that I haven't shared in previous videos because I just started looking into it a few days ago. Researchers compared outcomes of almost 100,000 Norwegian women who had mammograms to a matched group of women who weren't screened during the same period of time. The first really surprising finding was that the women who had mammograms were diagnosed with 22% more invasive breast cancers than the women who were not screened. The authors concluded that the most likely explanation, in fact, the only one that would make any sense, is that the women who weren't screened had the same number of cancers, but since they weren't screened and the cancers weren't detected, these spontaneously regressed. And we know this from autopsy studies that you find markings of cancer that came and went that the person never knew about when he or she was alive. In other words, if you just translate the findings of the study, about 22% of invasive breast cancers, which are found via mammograms, could resolve without treatment. And this isn't the only study that showed these rather disturbing results. A Canadian study reported an identical 22% higher invasive breast cancer diagnoses in screened women versus unscreened women in 2002. A study published in the British Medical Journal in 2004 was even more striking, concluding, quote, without screening, 1/3 of all invasive cancers in the age group 50 to 69 years would not have been detected in the patient's lifetime. This level of overdiagnosis is larger than previously thought. By the way, I'm always saying it's not new. I found in the 1960s, Dr. Tilden Everson and Warren Cole wrote a book called Spontaneous Regression of Cancer. And gosh, that was 60 some years ago. So, where does that leave the woman who's trying to make a decision about screening? Well, it's true that breast cancer caught early is generally treatable and survival rates are very high. But informed consent is the law in every state, which means that women must be made aware of that's as many as 1/3 of breast cancers that would be detected by mammogram and treated with surgery and follow-up chemotherapy or radiation may just go away. There's certainly a lot of evidence to support this. And the other thing that women, if the law was followed, would be made aware of is that mammography identifies not cancers. I mean, ductal carcinoma in situ has recently been renamed stage 0 cancer by the industry because they just can't call it cancer anymore. It's not. It's a contained lump that you wouldn't know about, might not ever turn into anything. And you might remember several months ago, I reported a study that showed that women who do and don't have treatment for stage 0 cancer, now they call it, fare about the same. So you don't, and again, you have to make up your mind about what you want to do. I'm not suggesting that you do or don't have mammograms, or you do or do not have treatment for stage 0 cancer. I'm suggesting that people should see these data before they make a decision. That's really what my work is all about. But it seems that the cancer industry has become more and more aggressive about scaring people into screening and creating a situation where screening is the norm. It's what we do, and you are an outlier if you don't go along with the norm. And that might be true that you're an outlier, but sometimes an outlier from a system that is harmful to a lot of people is a good thing to be. So anyway, just some more data. I'm going to put this in the newsletter for next week because I think many of you who are considering these kinds of issues might want to see the research that supports this. So look for this in next week's newsletter. Couple other things coming up this week, a lecture on creatine tomorrow at 1 p.m. And on Thursday, I believe it is, Heidi, my co-author, is delivering a workshop called Glow from the Inside Out, how your diet and lifestyle choices affect your skin and your hair and the products that you use on your skin and hair as well. And how you can make yourself look better with taking care of yourself from the inside out, literally. So lots coming up at Wellness Forum. We really crammed a lot of things into the fall, which we usually do. One last thing I'll mention to you, we are not going to have a conference this year. We are going to have a 30th anniversary conference next year in September. I was able to figure out that the first Wellness Forum class I ever taught was on September 16th of 1996. And it's in the middle of the week next year, so we're not going to be able to do something on the 16th. Maybe we'll have a virtual celebration of some sort, but the conference will be sometime around there. It will be live in person, and it will be a blowout celebration because I think 30 years in business is pretty remarkable. And we're still here. We're still doing the same things. We're still the brand name in the space we occupy. And that's a lot to celebrate. Plus, some of us have been friends for almost that entire time, which is remarkable too. So anyway, I will have details about that sometime in the near future. I'll let you know when I do. But just keep in mind that you're going to want to be in Columbus, Ohio next September to celebrate with us. All right, that's it for today. Please feel free to email me at pampopper@msn.com or pampopper@wellnessforum.com to get the menus for the cooking class. Happy to send those to you, or any other information that you would like, information on Winner's Circle. Or if you have a credit card on file and you just want to sign up for stuff, you can send me that. And hope to see a whole bunch of you next week in the Healthy Happy You Bootcamp. That's going to be an extraordinary event. All right, that's it for today. Pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy learning from me, and I will be back to you on Thursday with more news. Thank you so much for watching.